Hydrix Limited is Gavin Coote. Gavin, good morning. Good to meet you.
Good morning, Andrew. Thanks for having me.
Give us an introduction here, Gavin, a bit of an overview as to Hydrix Limited.
Yeah, thanks, Andrew. Hydrix Limited is a medtech product company. Focus today is in distributing cardiac devices to market. And we are well poised for growth on the back of the FDA approval of the AngelMed Guardian device.
Well, just on that, I see you've had some news this week on AngelMed and this Guardian system. Give us a bit more detail. What is it? How does it work?
Yeah, so AngelMed Guardian is the world's first implantable cardiac alert device, alerting a patient to an impending heart attack, for example. It's a world first. The FDA approval is a key catalyst for us. We have distribution rights in 8 countries in Asia Pacific, and we are now beginning the application process for regulatory approval in Australia and Singapore, and we'll continue to proceed from there in submitting regulatory approval applications in the other jurisdictions that we've got rights to distribute into.
And so what's the market opportunity for this device?
Yeah, so cardiovascular disease afflicts about 14% of the population globally. It's the leading cause of death at about 31% of the population. And the AngelMed Guardian, it deals with the plumbing problems. That is, someone's got a blockage in a coronary artery. They may have had a previous heart attack. They may be incurring a constriction with the coronary arteries, leading to unstable angina, for example, and putting them at risk of having a potentially deadly silent heart attack, or a heart attack where they may have recognizable symptoms. But the idea here is that with the device implanted, it continuously monitors the patient's heart signal 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it studies that signal. It's a very specific signal baseline it's looking at, and any certain deviations with that, it'll alert the person that they're at risk of having a heart attack due to a blockage of the artery. It is certainly more useful than just patients' recognizable symptoms alone. And it also can enable a patient, instead of showing up to hospital with false positives where they might have indigestion or some other issue, the device obviously won't go off. So it gives the patient far greater quality of life, because they don't need to be worried, what are those pains that I'm feeling? Is this the end, or is it, am I going to be okay? The overall market size is about 500,000 people a year across the 8 markets that we'll be looking to distribute into that have some sort of acute coronary syndrome event, i.e. a heart attack, for example. So if we were to capture perhaps 3% of the population there, that would be roughly 15,000 devices a year across those 8 countries, with near 200 million people. In Australia alone each year, there's about 15,000 to 20,000 pacemaker devices that are implanted. So we don't need the big numbers in terms of a market capture to generate some significant revenue. And at 1%, that would generate more than 35 million of revenue, we expect. 3% is about $100 million a year turnover business. So it's a very large addressable market opportunity for us.
And so you say you're now working on regulatory submissions in Australia and Singapore, are you?
That's correct, yeah. So that FDA approval creates a predicate approval of the device, which then the TGA can reference all of the clinical studies that were done to get it to FDA approval. There's approximately 1,000 patients implanted and managed over a 10-year study in the US. So it's a key catalyst now that we can take the next steps towards commercial distribution in Australia and Singapore and the other markets.
And you say you're also working towards, is it first in human trials of Pfizer Health's Guidewire?
Yeah, so Fission Health is a second product, second cardiac device that we added into the portfolio in October last year. It's a catheter guide wire. It's basically used if someone shows up to the hospital having got a blocked coronary artery and the physician's going to implant a stent. This is the device that the physician would use to guide to the point of where the stent is. And the special aspect of the Fission guide wire is it can measure pressure on either side of the blockage and help determine for the physician around implanting the stent in the patient. So it's a US company. haven't been used in human trials to date. We've worked with the company to actually set up first in human trials here in Australia, which is a terrific opportunity for us. We do have in-house regulatory and clinical people with that sorts of experience, and we're working with one of Melbourne's leading public teaching hospitals to set up that program.
Well, what are your expectations around timing for this trial?
Yeah, so the trial should begin sometime in the September quarter. We anticipate probably about the middle of the time period. Look, COVID embargoes and lockdowns and all of that do have impacts on using new devices into market and or on elective surgeries. But you know, that's a matter of timing. It's really a significant opportunity for us to do a first in human trial for the supplier.
Gavin, just while I've got you this morning, as far as Hydrix services, you say you're seeing some positive sales conversions here. So you feel business growth is now returning, do you?
Yes, we see we've got a really healthy pipeline. The pipeline has continued to build over the last 6 to 9 months. And some of the sales conversions that we're seeing at the moment and expect to see coming into the September quarter will set the business back up to return to the revenue levels that it had achieved in recent years. Look, we're pretty excited to be seeing those sorts of returns to previous business levels.
And how's the venture portfolio?
Yeah, look, we've got 3 high potential medtech client investments. It's an investment of around about just over $3 million of cash and equity in kind. Most of that's been invested to date, and based on the information coming from those 3 investee companies, the valuation uplift in the next 24 to 36 months through their own capital raisings, their own regulatory approvals, and starting to commercialise those products, we expect some significant multiples of a return on those investments in the years ahead.
Good to meet you. Gavin, thanks for your time.
Cheers. Thanks a lot, Andrew. Take care.